OK, let's bring you another one of today's main stories for you now tonight. And police chiefs have apologised to the families of the 97 Hillsborough victims and promised cultural change almost 34 years on from the fatal stadium crush. Now, their pledge is the first reply from a major public body to a report into the disaster, which was published 5 years ago. Let's go live to Liverpool tonight. Our correspondent Peter Lane is there. Peter, good to talk to you. Most importantly, why has it taken so long?
Yeah, hi Dan. Well, this call for a police change of culture came 5 years ago in a report from the then Bishop of Liverpool. Now, at that time, there were still legal steps underway in the Hillsborough story, and police chiefs didn't feel able to respond publicly until now. What they've done now is apologise for what happened on the day of the disaster and for what happened in the weeks, months and years afterwards.
An apology and a promise that no one should ever face what the report calls the indifference, lies and avoidable trauma that the families of the 97 Hillsborough victims went through. National police chiefs saying failures on the day at Hillsborough, the spread of misinformation afterwards and a lack of humanity shown to the families left a stain on policing that still echoes today.
Policing is apologising and recognising that policing was the primary cause of the disaster, the Hillsborough disaster, tragedy. But policing is also apologising for the now nearly 34 years that the families have had to wait to have their questions answered, to have justice, to have some form of closure about what happened on that awful day.
The reforms include a police charter for bereaved families through public tragedy, to acknowledge when mistakes have been made and not seek to defend the indefensible. There'll be a new College of Policing Code of Ethics and Code of Practice with an emphasis on openness and candour, and new guidance for family liaison officers with lessons learnt from Hillsborough, the Grenfell Tower tragedy and 2017 terror attacks. But what the families here want is a Hillsborough law, so that instead of new guidance on things like candour and honesty for police, there's new legislation to enforce it. Today's announcement hasn't convinced the family of Andrew Brooks, who died in the crush at Hillsborough.
From what was in the report today, when they keep going on about a duty of candour, which is obviously what the Hillsborough law was primarily about, I think this is the establishment's way of saying, well, look, you're not going to get your Hillsborough law, but we'll give you this. But nothing will change.
This afternoon, the government said it recognises the significant impact the Hillsborough disaster continues to have and will publish its own response in due course.
Well, Peter, it's been a long campaigning road for so many of the families, hasn't it, and others as well. And it's a road that will continue for many years ahead.
Absolutely, not least because we've still not had that full response from the government yet to this report about police culture. The families themselves aren't going to give up their fight, their campaign for a Hillsborough law. Labour have said that if they win the next general election, there'll be one. They will make it happen. And there's still another investigation to come because the IOPC, the Independent Office for Police Conduct, is still wrapping up its own inquiry into what officers did and didn't do around Hillsborough on the day itself and in those weeks, months and years afterwards. And there's no date yet for when that inquiry will be published.
Peter, thank you very much. That's Peter Lane with the latest from Liverpool for us tonight.